97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with 97.3 ESPN.com's Andrew DiCecco.
My first allegiance is what will be best for the Philadelphia Eagles and our fans for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Back. Everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to iloveLyleBack.com or call 856-MAKEOVER for Dr. Lyle M. Back, proud sponsor of Football at 4. This hour of the show, it's brought to you by PropSwap, America's sports betting marketplace. Sell your sports bet, take your profit. Find out how at PropSwap.com or download the PropSwap app today. Mike and Broads, Andrew DiCecco for Football at 4 today here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Andrew, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Mike, how are you, man?
All right, man. We're doing well. It's that time of the year. We're starting to think about free agency and the draft. Of course, the Carson Wentz saga is now behind us. Thursday was the day that it happened. You were on the air that day. Dust has settled. And now, looking forward, I want you to kind of give us your thoughts on the quarterback position for the Philadelphia Eagles and how you kind of see it materializing from now until draft day. Do you see free agent? Is it Jalen Hurts? Is it number 6? Do they make a trade? How do you kind of now see what the Eagles quarterback position might look like moving forward now that Wentz is officially gone?
Well, for me, it makes sense to sign a veteran, to be there as a mentor for Jalen Hurts. It's a very young quarterback room. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has just 4 game sample size under his belt, but it makes sense to go with Jalen Hurts, give him a full off season, let him build that continuity with his wide receivers and tight ends, and establish leadership and get the whole team's support behind him before you can really make an accurate assessment about what he is or what he isn't. I mean, the Eagles are not in a position to challenge for a championship this season, one way or the other. So, I mean, see what you have with your young quarterback that you selected with the 53rd overall pick just last year. The team just has so many other holes that, to kind of play this quarterback carousel again, I don't know that they're in a position where they can afford to do that. There's just too many other needs. So, I mean, roll with Jalen Hurts, see what you have there, and then, make an assessment at the end of the season. Because if he's not good, you'll have an opportunity to pick, high again. So, and you'll have another another first-round pick to work with as well.
All right. So, for someone like you who studies the draft and is, knows these quarterback prospects really well, Fields, Wilson, obviously you're not going to get Lawrence, Mac Jones. I mean, you would say roll with Hurts rather than roll the dice with one of those quarterback prospects. Trey Lance, the other guy, obviously in the mix here. So there's going to be someone there at 6, you would think. But you would say go with Hurts and get in another direction before you say take a guy at 6. Or even, what if Howie Roseman trades up?
Even still, Justin Fields is a player that I think is decidedly better than Jalen Hurts, but I don't necessarily know that right now Zach Wilson or Trey Lance are that much better than what Jalen Hurts is or can be. I mean, there's just too much, uncertainty there. So to take to invest the 6th pick in a quarterback, it's kind of like they have a high ceiling, but there's still a lot of question marks there with all the other holes that you have on that team. I mean, I think that would be irresponsible for the Eagles to do that, given their current situation.
A lot of people are wondering if heading into the season, knowing he has a real chance to be the starter, that will change Hurts' off-season mentality. Others around the league claim that he already does that every single week, no matter what. He is planning to be the starter in his head. So I ask you, do you think his mental preparation entering the season will hit another level?
Well, what really impressed me, Hunter, not always, it wasn't just his, physical attributes and his ceiling and his athleticism that I was intrigued with when I was evaluating him last year. It was how mature his mindset is and how competitive he is and how driven he is to be the best. And I know that, you kind of, those kind of traits are usually attributed to quarterbacks. But I mean, for such a young quarterback, his mindset and his poise, it just translates very well to the professional level. And, it says something when you're able to get a rookie to win over teammates so quickly and a locker room that, that had a lot of veterans in it, and to have their support, for him to get their support, that says a lot, because, he didn't really have a large sample size, but he was in that locker room all year long. He has a positive mentality. He wants to get better. He's putting in the work. And, I think that the Eagles should, you liked him enough to take him the second round last year. Obviously, the plan wasn't for him to be a starter, to be a high-level backup. But, just see what you have. See what's there before, just completely tossing him aside and trying to get another guy in there. At least let's see how it plays out. That's what I would do.
Andrew DiCecco, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. There was a podcast today. It was Chris Long and Malcolm Jenkins going back and forth about this topic of Carson Wentz. And one of the things I saw in there that I felt was really interesting was Chris Long said that he never thought of Wentz as a leader or not the leader. He just said, damn, this kid's pretty good. He's a good kid. If anything, he's a little shy, that you'd like to see him reach out and kind of go over to that corner of the locker room and talk to people. So essentially he was saying that, he didn't really go out of his way to talk to everybody. He also said the coachability, the stubbornness, that he's not the only player that goes through that, but it's something you expect more from the quarterback. He said that's the bottom line. He's not only the quarterback who's stubborn, that basically this is the guy who he was. He was a shy guy. He didn't like to talk. He was a little uncoachable. But there's a lot of guys like that. But he never said, hey, what a bleep hole. Like, he was like, this guy's not a bad person. But that's Jalen Hurts is completely the other side, right? I mean, he's the guy that goes over to every corner of the locker room. He's the guy that brings everybody together. He's the guy that wants to be coached hard. So I guess the question is, Wentz might have more talent, but sometimes it's those intangibles that take your team, your 53-man roster, to another level.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw that last season, just in the brief time that we got to see Jalen. I mean, what I was most impressed with was his voice. Being thrown in there with no offseason, really didn't have he didn't know there was no preseason. He didn't have that continuity with the team. Yet he stepped in there and he appeared fearless. He trusted what he saw. He delivered the football. He processed things quickly, and was there a lot of areas that he can improve on? Of course, but that's what the full off season's for. So, and the things that you heard Malcolm and Chris Long say are things that have been reported, for a couple of years now on Carson Wentz. That wasn't really much of a surprise, and I think that when you have a personality like that, right or wrong, that's going to create a little bit of a division in the locker room, because you want your quarterback to be that leader, that you don't necessarily have to be a rah-rah guy, but you want to have a little bit of that, we're going to follow this guy into a dark alley type of thing. And Jalen Hurts is that guy that the guys just seem to want to rally behind, and he injected a lot of energy into the offense. And that translates. That's a real thing. I do think that the current roster, I think those guys are really excited to see what he can do next season.
Is there a preferred veteran quarterback out there, the one that fits better with this current team? I know Fitzpatrick's is the name, Mariota, and some other ones, of course, but is there anyone that stands out to you that you think would be the best fit?
I would, honestly, Hunter, go with Ryan Fitzpatrick, much for the same reason why I really liked the fit with Josh McCown a couple of years ago. He's been in many different systems. He's played, he's sporadic, he's Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a journeyman, and he's had some great games, and he's some games that remind you of why he's been a journeyman. But, he's been able to stick in the NFL for such a long time. And just, being in all these different systems, I think that only help Jalen Hurts get acclimated to Nick Sirianni's system. And I think it would just be a great fit, because at this stage in his career, I don't know if Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to want to I think he may have come to terms that he's probably not going to get one of the coveted 32, starting quarterback positions in the NFL. So I don't know that there's going to be a quarterback controversy, but I think he would be a big help for Jalen Hurts.
Hey, we're talking with, of course, our Football at 4, and it's Andrew DiCecco here as the Eagles offseason getting underway. Now, you guys bringing up that veteran quarterback. I feel like an interesting name, too, could be Jacoby Brissett. The problem is I think he's going to want way too much money, and this team already has a lot of financial issues. But he would be an interesting kind of backup, mentor type of guy who knows Sirianni. I think that would be a good fit. I don't think the money would work out, so that would be the problem of bringing in a guy like you guys are talking about Fitzpatrick. I see Jacoby Brissett, like getting a veteran guy to that extent. The problem is the cap. I don't know that you can afford to bring in that veteran guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to have to they're going to have to do some restructuring here with their roster and do a little maneuvering. That's kind of Howie's specialty. But, I think that Jacoby Brissett's going to be out of their price range. He's one of the top backup quarterbacks in football. Possibly could be a very, a low-end starter. But, he's shown that he's capable of, running an offense. And, I think in the right situation he can thrive. But I don't know that he's going to I think what he's going to warrant on the open market isn't something that the Eagles are going to be able to deliver financially.
Yeah. By the way, the news yesterday, not crazy news, Andrew, but to get your, take on what this kind of signifies. Deshaun Jackson on Friday they're going to release him. And then they announced there's a report yesterday that they're going to release Alshon Jeffrey. And I guess that kind of signifies, do you think they're going to go with this young group of receivers like Rager, JJ? How do you think this receiver room's going to look like? Hightower, Quez Watkins, they got these young guys. Do you think that's what they're going to go with? And even if they draft a guy at 6, that's a rookie.
Yeah, exactly. And Jeff nailed it when he said, there's not a guy in that room, take Alshon and Deshaun out of the equation that's played more than 2 seasons in the NFL outside of Marquise Goodwin, who all of a sudden becomes, your own veteran guy there. I think you can get like a low-level veteran to step in there that, role player guy, 4th receiver, special teams guy that's played a while that can really kind of command the room. They're really cash-strapped. It's really hard to go out and spend on at the position. There's something to be said for that, though. That's an awfully young wide receiver room. They're going to have to do something there. Yes, Marquise Goodwin is there, but I don't know that. I don't know if he's even going to make the roster, to be honest with you. So, I think that they need to at least check into that in the free agent market and look to bolster that area.
Since we're talking about offensive playmakers, the tight end Pitts is catching a lot of hype right now. Are you moving in any direction with him coming out of the draft, or are you kind of staying with where you were in your first initial assessment?
Well, I love Kyle Pitts, but I don't like him at 6.
Right.
I think that, if there's a team that wanted to trade with the Eagles, let's say a team that really wants a quarterback and they want to move up to 6 and the Eagles can move down a few spots. Yeah, that's a great opportunity to take a guy like Kyle Pitts, put him on your roster, move him around and let him do his thing. And I think that would be a tremendous fit. And another weapon that the offense it's so dire right now in terms of playmakers. I just love his versatility we can bring to an offense. He runs routes as good or better than some wide receivers in this class. He's just a phenomenal talent, and he's going to be a plug-and-play starter and an impact player. So,
all right, obviously, draft season is getting here. The mock draft season is here. Eagles at number 6. We will continue to focus on that because I really think that 6 spot is going to be really interesting because I think teams are going to call them. Teams are going to call it 6 because of all these quarterbacks that are involved. The question will be, does Howie Roseman want a quarterback for himself, or does he want to kind of get out of there? That's stuff that we will continue to kind of dissect with Andrew. He'll be back on Thursday's show for Football at 4. Moshe is in tomorrow. Adam is here on Friday. Football at 4, all season long. Eagles, NFL, draft, you name it, we've got it. Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Andrew, appreciate it, man.
You got it, guys. Talk to you soon.
And Andrew, like all guests, appears via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. This offseason is going to be an interesting one with that quarterback position, man. I got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of going quarterback with that pick.